On January 15th, 2009, another tragedy could have happened in New York City. Instead, a miracle occurred. There were 155 people on U.S. Airways Flight 1549, and I'm just one of those that day that were blessed. Over the next few minutes, I'm going to share with you that experience. Some of the things I was thinking that day, and two things I really think contributed to the outcome: the impact of the American Red Cross and the power of faith. And one thing I'd like for you to think about as you listen to me speak: the time that plane took off from LaGuardia, the time it crashed into the Hudson River, the time I got to the hospital, it was only about 30 minutes. And I wasn't supposed to be on that flight. I was scheduled to be on the 5 o'clock flight that night. So that morning, about 10 o'clock, I called our corporate travel agent up and worked with her, and she put me on flight 1549. So I truly believe that I was supposed to be on that plane for a reason. So I boarded the plane. I went to seat 15A. That's 4 rows behind the left wing. It was about 60 seconds after we took off is when I heard the explosion. It was a loud explosion. I've never heard anything on a plane like that before, so it got my attention. So I was at a window seat, so I looked out the window. I saw fire coming out from underneath the left wing. So I knew something had happened. But I travel so often, the first thought in my mind was, he lost an engine. Because no one knew at that point in time what happened on the left side of the plane also happened on the right side of the plane. And as soon as he crossed over the bridge, he said the only 3 words he said the entire time on this plane. He said, "Brace for impact." And I put my head down. It was about 60 seconds after he crossed over the bridge when we crashed into the river. And it was a hard hit. But when I came back up, I opened my eyes up, I looked out the window, and I saw light. So I knew I had a shot, but I wasn't out yet. And then when the plane skidded, it took the entire bottom of the plane off. When that happened, water started coming in immediately. My natural instinct was to go to the aisle. And to me, the right thing at that moment in time was to make sure everybody was out. So I waited. It wasn't like a minute, it wasn't like 30 seconds. You gotta remember, things are happening very quickly. The term I've used is controlled chaos. And as far up as I could get was 10F. I started making my way out the exit door. But when I got there, I looked out, and it was an amazing sight. The wing was already filled up. The boat was already filled up. There was no room for me on the wing. And I always stop. I always want to thank my mom and dad at this point, because you know what? If they hadn't had enough forethought when I was a child to give me swimming lessons from the American Red Cross, I'd never been able to get off this plane. So I got on the side, and I jumped in the water and started swimming to the closest boat that I could find. And the closest boat just happened to be the end of the wing. And all of a sudden, 2 heroes, 2 angels, to this day, I do not know who these guys are, reached down off one of these ferries and grabbed me and pulled me up on one of these ferries. And I couldn't feel a thing. I was so cold, I couldn't even think. So when we hit shore, there were 3 people waiting for me. There were 2 EMTs and a guy from the American Red Cross with a blanket just like this. And that's why I'm talking today about the Red Cross. I don't know if you've ever been in that situation where you have nothing left except hope. So somebody from the American Red Cross went out in the middle of the night, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and got me some sweats to wear overnight, so I had something to wear the next morning. I was ready to go home because I talked to my wife the night before. U.S. Airways had made plans to get them to the airport. Everything was a plan for me to be home. The CEO of the American Red Cross in Charlotte was there taking care of my family when I got off that plane. And that is why I speak nationally now for the Red Cross. Because I don't know who's going to get impacted. The Red Cross impacts people every day. Who am I going to impact today? And that's why I do what I do with the Red Cross. They take people who are suffering, whether it's a fire, whether it's a tornado, whether it's a hurricane, whether it's a military situation. They help people get through it, endure through it. They have hope going forward that life will be better for them because of the Red Cross. But in 14 hours on January 15th and January 16th, I had 3 Red Cross experiences. And the most important one was the Red Cross taking care of my family. I never thought I needed the Red Cross, but now I know why I need the Red Cross and why you need the Red Cross. Please consider giving anything you can, because you never know when that day may come for you.